So if I stand back here, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what I always do standing, right, is that I just stand up from sitting. Your feet are shoulder width apart. Whatever's comfortable for you, basically. Um, your feet could be, they used to say parallel, straight out, but really it's what's comfortable for you. They could be, a couple of degrees to the left and to the right. It's fine. Your knees are soft. I'm always going to say bent because I'm just used to saying that, but I don't mean I don't mean this, right? I just mean not locked and just rocking back and forth. So you're just shifting your weight, getting used to kind of standing. So then your mind could start dropping down to the floor. So like, what do you feel at the bottom of your feet? While you rock, we only rock back and forth, a bunch of a few times, whatever. But what do you feel at the bottom of your feet? Feel the weight going to your left, going to your right. You just become aware. You can close your eyes, rock back and forth a few times, right? So you're staying, the most important part is you're staying in a range of movement. So I can force myself over a little more, but it's not about a stretch. It's about consciously staying in your most powerful position, your most powerful range, right? It's not like, oh, how far can I go? And this knee will never straighten out, right? If I go all the way, I don't want this knee to straighten out. So you can see I barely move it. So it's just shifting the weight and being conscious. There's no letting go. You're not. If we go too fast, this is what I noticed, right? If I go too fast and everybody's body looks like this, you're just throwing yourself over. And this is conscious movement, mindful movement, right? You're controlling every aspect, right? And then we just do this turning, right? So a lot of classes do this, the elephant tusk or washing machine movement, whatever they call it. This is this typical turning, right? I shift my weight. This is my left leg. I turn to my right. Can you see it? So you just have to go slow and get it right. If you did this, that's what I was saying before. If I do this is an exercise. Who cares? But this is much more controlled. I have to think about it. I got to think about turning in, and it stops me from going too far off. Right? If I do this, I'm about, if I go a little more, I'm throwing myself off balance. I'm letting go. I'm just letting go. It's free movement. This isn't. This is a very controlled movement. Right? So I turn in this way, and without any extra, just whatever my body could do, turning my hip in my hip, turning my hip, that's all. Look how little bit I move. And I have a pretty loose hip, but look, it's very little movement. But all my weight is here. This knee is soft, right? Then I shift, turn, so I can't really see you guys. Um, but, that's the idea. If you have any questions during the thing, just yell out because it, it's just little tips. Because I keep saying this doesn't matter, right? If I do this, can you see my body moving? Right? This is just one way to do it. In most classes, this is the way they do it. This is what I'm doing. I'm turning in, right? Turning in. I don't know how else to explain it. I hope you can see it. You see my shoulders, right? Right. So that's this thing. So your arms are loose, but they're not going extra. If you feel yourself stretching a little bit, you are. And there's nothing wrong with it. And you can keep doing it. It's fine. But this is not. This is this palm hitting this right here. And this palm hitting like right above the hip, that hip bone. Like some people try to hit the kidney, but my teacher never did. He always just hit the hip bone. right? So you're just going like this. You're not trying to go far further. Very, very soft. And you could be thinking, controlling this hand, instead of just letting it swing by, what about controlling that hand? So you're just in, you have all the power and you're controlling it.
Hey, Joe, it's Susan. Um, what it was told to me is that this place here is called the Qua.
Yep, it is.
And the Qua, if I could just think that that's what's supposed to be moving, is the Qua is
Yep,
moving, right?
exactly.
Okay.
And the claw should be in the middle. So you could go, I could go like this. You could see my belt, right? So if I let my stomach come out, this is this is now closed. If I go like this and pull it all the way up in the pelvic tilt, this is now closed. So somewhere in the middle is where I want the quad to be. Yeah, yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's just this is open. In other words, not closed, and you're moving from here. Perfect. Yes. So you
Thank you.
see what I'm saying? So when you move to your left, you're turning into your right. When you move to your right, you're turning into your left. And it's not stretching. So as soon as you feel like you went all the way, you did. And so try not the next time not to go all the way. Like don't give it that little extra. It should really literally feel like you're not doing it. And Susan's right. This is the claw, and this is in the middle ground. Right? So in yoga, everybody knows yoga, right? The pelvic tilt, right? You're kind of going like this. Well, how much is this closing? So in Tai Chi, the pelvic tilt is go all the way one way, go all the way the other way, and then be in the middle. So in yoga, I'm not sure what they said, but I know they have a pelvic tilt in yoga, right? So, okay, so that's this one. And then I simply go to this one. And this one then is just bringing more and more attention on. You don't, there's no stretching. It's very, very casual. I'm at the bottom of my feet, thinking my weight is going along the floor. It's very grounding. In other words, I'm not going like this, shifting from, sometimes they describe it, weight comes up from this leg, goes across and goes down into this leg. Right? It's an easy symbol to see, right? It's easy to see it. But in reality, in the Qi Gong, they want you to be staying on the ground. It's like the movement is in the ground. So you don't see you see my head bouncing up and down like this sometimes, that means my mind is a million miles away. Because when I'm in the movement, I don't do that. You can't do it. You got to stay at the bottom of my feet. So I'm kind of dragging my body in the ground. It's very grounded. If you feel someday, you're stressed out and you're all over your head, this is an easy one to do. You put your hands on your hips, and actually the weight of your arms should get heavier, and you should feel it heavier and heavier and heavier on your hips as you go across. It's just very grounded. Right, pretty good. Okay, so then this one, just take notice. My body's ordered my right hand. I don't know how you see it. You see it on my left. But this is my right hand, and I turn to the left. And now my left hand is coming up, and my body is turning to the right. And consciously, this isn't going extra. There's a million things to think about here. So that's why, I do them fast because I like to move faster. But really, you got to start moving a little. I got to start moving a little slower and slower and slower for you because there's just too much to think about. Right? So once you feel comfortable doing this shift, could be practiced by itself a million times, not exaggerating, then you can say, okay, now you have this turning. I don't have to think about it. Now I can think about my arm gliding across. There's a mudra, a hand position, in yoga they call it mudra. So this is a smiling tiger. I don't know if you can see it. So it's just this. So you'll always see it. My hand comes up. I'm in that position. So it's just another thing to think about. The arm and the back, they're both, if I do it sideways, maybe you can see it. Both arms are moving together. There's no stopping. Right? So in the back, my arm is just going to go like this. Right? They end at the same time. Now my hip starts turning. So I'm trying to coordinate the movement of both arms together. All right, can you see it? And then the palm in the front turns into a loose fist. Everything drops down into this leg with the weight on it. And when you bring up the other arm, it's also in a fist, loose fist. You can see right through them. Right? Nothing's tight. If you want to do it exactly, the pad of your thumb is over these two fingers. You're actually waiting to see if you can feel a pulse there. Right? So it energizes the acupuncture points in these two fingers if you do that. As you're going back and forth. It's the same rocking. Right? Shift to my left, turn to my right. Shift to my right, turn to my left. It should really feel like you're not doing anything. It doesn't, you see me and maybe you want to do an extra, add a little extra onto your movement. You really don't. You just see what's your range of movement that you feel comfortable in. You could hardly be moving. And maybe you're not moving. Maybe, this is your movement. Side to side. It's whatever you're comfortable in. Elbows are going down to the floor. It's just a part of more of the grounding. So you inhale, and when you exhale, you should feel like your whole body's softening down into your feet. So of course, if your knees are hurting or you're in any pain, you have to stop. Right? But this is how slow and even slower you would be moving. And me too. Because I got a lot to concentrate on here. What do my shoulders feel like? Am I getting tense anywhere? Am I still in the pelvic tilt? Or did you let go? Is your pelvic bone now all the way forward, tailbone up? What happened to you? So you keep scanning your body and making sure you're not tight anywhere. So if this gets too tight, try to soften it. Calves get too tight, try to soften it. That's all you can do. It's endless practice to do that. Right, so that's it. It's just you being in total control of the movement. And then the palms open up, right? It's like holding the ball. So this is my right hand. My right hand's on top when I turn to the right. Left hand on the bottom. It's all like a basketball. And they meet in the middle, so they're facing each other. And then they turn, and you're meeting on the other side. This is my left side. Left hand on top. They meet in the middle. What do your hands feel like? Once you feel comfortable in the movement, that's where you would go immediately. What do you feel? What do you feel in your feet? What about the top of your head? Your extremities. Just feel some blood flowing in there. You could do a lot with this. Like this could be, you want to feel some energy? So here's the energy ball. And you go like this, and the energy ball leaves you. What if you do that? So as my body goes this way, the energy go out. It's me. Right? And the last one, then I just throw that ball out, and then my palms open up. So I keep changing it a little because I'm just trying to find an easy way to get into this one. Then pressing down, right? You're creating this ball. And then the palms turn and they face each other. And then you toss out, palms face the floor. So when you're getting ready to toss it, you're grabbing the ball. Then the back of your hands are meeting and the palms face the floor. That's what that's the way it is on every toss, right? So sometimes I turn and do 8 of them. Sometimes I do 4. It depends on the time. But that's what I'm doing with my hands. And the idea of this slowly turning is, what do your hands feel like? Because by you concentrating on this slow turning of the hands, palms face each other, palms face the floor, you should feel a lot more tingling. And you will once you don't have to think about the movement. Every movement almost is like that. There's some very slight palm turning, which increases the blood flow and the energy flow. So it's already getting late. I should have started that earlier. Oh, then this one's okay. Then you can just finish it off, right? What about this one? So this is what you're concentrating on. So this is the end, not this. So my hand comes up. This is the end, and then it starts going the other way. This is the end. Not fingers down, not fingers up, right? It's my wrist. My wrist is up. This wrist is here, not my fingers down. You just have to pay attention a little bit. So that's the way it's moving. So see, here's the end, and I start again. Here's the end. Now I start again. So your wrist is absolutely soft and moving, but it's kind of flopping like a flag, right? If you I don't have anything to show you, but if you have a flag going back and forth, it's moving like this, right? It's not ending with your flag straight out. It's ending with your wrist. So this one, just same flopping, but a little faster, but the same wrist kind of thinking. So it doesn't matter how fast I go. You can't really see it if I go too fast, but this is the end, right? This one, the end. And then go off. You just have to go slow until you can feel like, oh, this is where you stop. This is where you stop. Right? And then this one, last one, goes like this, right? See the flopping of my hand? Like, oh, it's like the wind is blowing this way. So my wrist is leading the movement. It would be like this, right? My wrist is leading. The fingers are following. And so then you get a chance to try to do it faster. But it's still the same thing. My wrist is leading. So you can't really tell. If you go too fast, you're just flopping and you're no mindfulness. So you really have to make it a slow movement and move like a snake. All right, so your hand is constantly moving like a snake. Right, this joint, trying to get looser and looser and looser, softer and softer. So I hope that helps a little bit. We could do some shaking and we'll. Okay, thank you guys for coming in. I hope that helped a little bit.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you. Yeah, it does. It helps.
Yeah, you just keep adding on, and that's the trick. All right, see you guys during the week.
Thank you, Joe.
Have a good one.